The ODM party was yesterday fighting back claims in Zimbabwe that its associates had fueled post-poll violence in Harare last week, where at least 6 people died. And they're quoting a local daily there, saying that Zimbabwe police had claimed Mr. Silas Jakakimba, a supposed ODM strategist, had traveled to Harare as Mr. Odinga's envoy during the elections and incited protesters to reject the poll. State-owned Sunday Mail, that's Zimbabwe's leading newspaper, said police in the country are keen to interview Mr. Jakakimba over the electoral protests. You are a member of the ODM. Does Mr. Jakakimba play a big role that would say he was representing the party in Zimbabwe?
I think the author of this should decide whether Jakakimba is an ODM strategist or think tank, whatever that is, or an ODM official. As far as I'm concerned, he's neither a NEC member, he's not a member, or he doesn't hold any position. I doubt that the party sat and said that they would send him there. I also do not have any information that he was carrying any goodwill message. In terms of, and I'm not saying Jakakimba is a lightweight, but I think if Raila was sending somebody on something, a mission that big, I think he would look higher up in the hierarchy. Perhaps he would have sent Mbadi, maybe he would have sent, at the very least, the Secretary General, maybe the Executive Director. I think Jakakimba, if he was there, and I don't know he was there, he probably went in his own capacity because he probably also has his own networks. Perhaps he was himself upset at the culture now that is creeping in the fixed election, and it appears to many that the election in Zimbabwe was fixed. I see people here trying to say that the Right Honorable Raila Odinga was a bad influence to Nelson Chesima, and he passed on, quote unquote, the bad habit in Kenya of refusing to accept electoral results. And so they seem to have been suggesting this idea of, you know, the election has been fixed, howsoever it has been won, you move on. So I don't know what mission Jakakimba was having there, but I am very certain it wasn't in any official capacity that I know of.
But ODM definitely needs to shed off this image that they are the party that, this party that stands for defiance, electoral violence, and encouraging electoral chaos.
But you're not going to the core of this story. If actually Jakakimba was in Zimbabwe and assisting to this election in a personal capacity, instead you should be giving him a pat on the back, meaning that Kenya's human capital is being appreciated at a global level. Understand, if you go to Botswana, the people who are running the economy are Kenyans. If you go to Rwanda, it's Kenyans. So in my view, there's nothing wrong if Jakakimba was indeed in Harare and giving advice. And you know, advisors suffer no risk. So if you tell Nelson, if you give him this kind of advice, then that's where it stops.
In his personal capacity.
Yeah. I mean, like for me, if there's going to be an election in Egypt and I get invited to go and give communication advice, I will run for it. The only problem would be if it's a bilateral, that maybe Kenya is sending somebody to go and take up a partisan position, or maybe it's ODM sending Jakakimba to go do that. But again, if MDC invites ODM to give them any technical support, what's the big deal? There's no problem, provided there's nothing illegal. But you would see a bit of propaganda inside this story. There's clearly somebody who wants to associate ODM with every crisis. The question would have been, if MDC would have won, would you have a similar story like this? Then, you know, then the people would, probably the author of this mischief, wouldn't go to town with this kind of story. So for me, I think if there's any Kenyan who knows an election coming up anywhere in the world, even if it's in Poland or Germany, and you can offer skill, run for it. That's what a strong economy is supposed to be doing. Okay.
The fact that ODM has been mentioned negatively in this election, it would actually discourage other countries from inviting them, even in their professional capacities. There are enough professionals within ODM.
Actually, for me, I think maybe the Mbadi did a horrible job in trying to come up with this defense. He should have actually said that ODM has got so much talent that our neighbors are looking for it, and then run with this. Maybe he needs a communication council this.
Yes, that story is on page 6 of the Daily Nation this morning. And that's where we wrap up our news review this morning.